Very few people in their lifetime get a chance to meet a person who they not say worship, but a person who they think is on the same path they're on, but that person is way ahead of them, so they could learn from that person. I'm a keyboard player. Miles Davis is a trumpeter. I don't listen too much to keyboard players because I've learned over the years if you do, you tend to sound like the keyboard player. You become like the keyboard player, so I stay away from that a lot. I listen to the trumpet, I listen to the bass, and I listen to the drum. Or I'd say the guitar is one I listen to because I listen to the instruments that complement the keyboard and the keyboard complements them by, like, you know, working with them and admiring them. The drums and the bass to me are key to, you know, sticking with your rhythm, or, you know, stay with your basic course in music so you can, you know, complement people because they're the root instruments. But hearing a musician or admiring a musician who you have noticed in your lifetime have changed the course of music per se, not only jazz music, music per se, by his ability to create on the spot, has fascinated me for a long time. I used to hear Miles Davis in Jamaica. I used to hear Jimmy Smith. I used to hear Thelonious Monk, Nat King Cole, to name a few people. But Miles, every time I heard a record or music from his entourage or from his repertoire, it was always something different. So, you know, I said in my musical career, you know, I found the cat who I've been looking for. You know, I've been, you know, listening to people like Ernie Ranglin in Jamaica, Sonny Bradshaw. And these are two people who I used to say, you know, pattern the direction I was going in music from. When I heard Miles Davis play, that little trumpet had a sound like a bird, like in Jamaica would say, like a grass squid. And every time you hear a grass squid, you know it was a grass squid. This little bird flying around, his wings moving so fast. 1985, I was at the Ontario Place Forum and Miles was playing. A lot of people were, you know, around me saying, oh, he turns his back to the audience and he has no respect for people and stuff like that. My brothers John and Max were there, and Max and myself were saying maybe, you know, Miles is doing that because he's trying to direct his band like a musical director, and maybe people can't see. And in the long run, Herbie Hancock said that, so we were right, you know. But to cut a long story short, Miles finished his concert, waved his trumpet, and started walking towards me because I was at a spot where I could touch him. But I didn't stretch my hand out because people were saying it was hard getting close to that cat. So I let him pass, and when he passed, I said, hey, Miles Davis. He didn't look around. I said, hey, yo, who the F you think you are? And he turned around, and he came back, and he stretched his hand out. And he held my hand for almost a minute, or say a minute and a half. Time had moved so fast because I was not in shock, but in awe. He gave my brothers high fives, and then he walked away. But while he was walking away, I noticed like my hands were like shaking a bit, and like, you know, some electric impulses were going through your hand, you know, like a pulsation thing going through. I said, what the hell does this guy have? You know, like he has some powers or some stuff like that. After the show, I went home. Went on my synthesizer. It was an M1 at the time. and I put the muted trumpet on, and I started practicing. And I noticed I was playing things that I never played before. My spacing, my playing, my technique had changed. I was hearing things different. Then I started playing. This little song kept coming to me, and I said, what the hell is going on here? And this song, each time I played the trumpet, this little song kept coming back to me. I said, you know something? I'm going to put a rhythm section to this and call this song A Touch of Mars. This is the song you're going to listen to right now. That day, from that day, I started seeing music from a different dimension. I started hearing music from a different dimension. So, Miles, thanks, man. Whatever you passed on to me, I'll never forget it. But very soon, you people gonna hear me playing some stuff that I've learned and, you know, sort of trying to perfect in the wilderness here in Canada. Even if I go on the stage for 15 minutes, it doesn't matter to me. As long as I do what I came here to do, which I taught, you know, after going to university and school and college. All I wanted to do from I was 10 years old was play music. This is a song from one of Miles Davis's albums, you know, written by Marcus Miller, the bass player. It's called Hannibal. You know, like, you know, the global depiction of Hannibal is like in the movies, some guys eating people. You know, but we have like our great African general from the century gone, you know, like on his elephant going through and you know, doing his thing. You understand? So when I heard this song, I couldn't like hear the elephants marching around, and you know, I could hear all these things. I went the way Marcus Miller did it, you know, like Miles did it. You know, I said I have to come up with my version, which is putting it in reggae. You understand? On this version now we got Mike Sinclair playing guitar, Mike Sinclair and Max, my brother, playing guitar. You know, but most of the other stuff I did because it's hard to get bass players who cannot switch from like one dimension to the other. You know, so I had to play the bass myself. You know, but you know, beautiful guitar, and you know, trying to emulate what Marcus did, not like copying it like that, but trying to interpret it and put it in reggae. You know, I haven't heard nobody else done it, so you know, it's nice. It's a nice beat, and it's touching. And this is the direction like I took like years ago. You know, like when I play reggae to this level. So even if I'm not around, people are gonna hear what I used to do, and they can't come up and say, "Oh, somebody else did it," because I've been playing like this for the last like 35, 40 years. You know, playing the speeds and the precision and thing is very hard. So I take my chances. I'm not scared to play. If I make mistakes, I try dissonance and I get it. This is one of the beauty of playing like the way I play. A lot of musicians won't take chances. They're scared to make mistakes. I don't care if I make a mistake because I can make it up back and I can probably do better on the next time around. You know, and I try not to play the same thing like repetition. It's hard not to repeat sometimes. 90% of the times the way I play, I don't even remember what I played before, so I don't sit and play licks and stuff like that. And that's one of the key, you know, in listening to great musicians like, say, Miles Davis. One of the time I used to hear Herbie playing way back, and he used to repeat himself. And I said, why don't Herbie play the same solo here and play the same licks here? And I think Miles straightened him out, you know. From I had started listening to Miles Davis, I can't even play one of my songs. I don't even remember one of my songs. I can pick the song up like in the middle and wherever it is, but it's like my song Roller Coaster. I like that song, you know. I've been playing that song for a long time, and I use it as a practicing tool, you know, because my speed and my accuracy depends on like a roller coaster thing, and it's to play that speed, it's very tricky, not difficult, very tricky, especially playing like certain parts of it is tricky. Most people don't think I play that, but I practice it every week, you know, so I was caught up on to play roller coaster. I could play it like on the fly, you know. So it's, you know, it's coming from way back, you know, like Miss Watson to where I am right now. And you know, it's not my life story, but it's something, you know, to pass on to the rest of the musicians or the young musicians coming up. You gotta go learn to play your instrument, because most of these I won't call no genre of music, but a lot of people who are in my brand of music, they can't play. They can't play. They know like 2 chords and 1, 4, 5 and stuff like that. And I'm coming from like the Ernie Randlins to the Miles Davis to the Jimmy Singer to Herbie Hancock to, you know, name a few people who I really respect. Bud Powell, you know, and my Russian pianist Vladimir Horowitz, which I think is the greatest classical pianist I've ever seen in my life. I don't think anything will ever live to play like that. You know, I've been around a lot of them. I've heard Glenn Gould and all these guys. This guy goes, you know, even watching him on, you know, I didn't meet the guy, but watching him on video, it's impossible anybody to play. You know. My goal is to just come and do the best I can, the best of my ability, and share what I have to, you know, share what I have with the younger musicians. There has to be something when somebody great touches you or something, I don't know. But that day, from that day, I started seeing music from a different dimension. I started hearing music from a different dimension. So, Miles, thanks, man. Whatever you passed on to me, I'll never forget it.